intro.
I've never done the intro. He's always the one starting it. So I have to do it.
Do you want to do it?
Oh no. Welcome to episode 2, season 2 of I Can't Die Busy. Today we're meeting with Hannah.
Hi.
And Jay's here. Okay, what do I say? Do I just go into it then?
Yep.
Okay. Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Hannah Soderstom, and I'm from Wichita, Kansas. I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia on October 14th of 2016, and I went through 2.5 years of chemotherapy for that down in Wichita. My journey was just crazy because I was 13 years old at my diagnosis, so I was starting 8th grade, and at that time you're already like self-conscious middle schooler, and having cancer on top of that is just even more difficult. And so I was navigating life, going through school and chemo and trying to, be a kid still. Is there anything specific, like the chemo?
No, just whatever you want to share.
I remember when I was going through like the very beginning of my symptoms, I was in the Addams Family because I really loved music theater at the time, and I was really big into dance. I wasn't much of a singer, so I was always a background character, the dancer. And what was funny is I was cast as an ancestor, which was like one of the ghosts in the show, and I show up to perform, and they were like, Hannah, you're not supposed to put on your makeup before like showing up, and I was like, I did it. My face was so white and my skin was so pale that I like knew I was feeling sick, but didn't quite know what it was, and I just wanted to get through the show. I wanted to get through it without being sick, and so I was kind of pushing through what was like low-grade fevers at the time, and as soon as I was done with Tech Week and the shows were over, it just started to slowly get worse, and I noticed like little dots on my legs, and I started running higher fevers, and my mom was like, well, you're not throwing up, so you're not like contagious, like, this was before COVID, so I was still like going to school with these fevers. And the first time I got sent home, we went to the doctor, and she said, there's just a virus going around, just go back home, and if it doesn't go away, come back. And so next week I go back to the doctor, and she like kind of says the same thing, and then I was at school again, and I did like go to the nurse's office because I was sick and like I threw up, and she was like, you need to go insist on a blood test because there's mono going around, like you need to go insist on a blood test. And so I went back to my doctor the third time and got the blood test, and not even like 30 minutes later they're like, you need to go to the hospital. And so we go up to Wesley Medical Center, and I like walk inside, and it's crazy because you still like remember these things so vividly. And I remember seeing the nurse's station, and then turning in my room was the very first one off the nurse's station. And that should have been my first sign that this was not mono. And so I walk in the room, and there's just a little gift basket on the bed, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I didn't realize you get gifts at the hospital. Like, this is so cool. So I'm like opening up my goodie bag, and it's a blanket from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and there's a beanie in there and some coloring books, and I'm like, I can get used to this. This is pretty cool. Like, I like gifts. And next thing you know, a nurse walks in, she's like, okay, there's a couple doctors that are gonna come in here. Couple as in like 13 people were in my room. Okay. And my oncologist sits at the foot of the bed, and he goes, Hannah, you have what is called acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And my mom like just starts bawling, and I'm 13 years old. I don't know what leukemia is. I don't know what acute lymphoblastic leukemia is, and I didn't know it was cancer. So I just kind of look at him, and I realize like the severity of the situation by the faces of everyone in the room, and I was like, well, that was like picking off a Band-Aid, like ripping off a Band-Aid. And he was like, well, we're gonna have the child life specialist like come in and explain this to you. And once I like kind of understood what was happening, you know, as a 13-year-old girl, the first question was, okay, when am I gonna lose my hair? And I was diagnosed on a Friday, and not even like by that Monday, I got my port, started chemo, and there was like no time to think about anything. So before you even know it, you just do it. Like, you don't have a choice. And in that moment, I like knew I had to decide, like, I can sit here and say, why me, and don't get me wrong, trust me, I still do that to this day sometimes. But I was like, I can either sit here and just continue saying why me, or I can just, you know, just do it. And for 2.5 years, I had gotten treatment and was just being a kid at that time. But that was the diagnosis portion of it. And the treatment portion was very intensive. I mean, you know, you get so sick, you're throwing up all the time, you don't feel like a human anymore. And like, I'm just trying to think of where to go with the story, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm trying to think, because I did get a lot of my treatment like technically outpatient, so it was like doctor's office situation where we would you know, every Monday go in and get chemo like clockwork. I would have to go get my blood draws to make sure it was good, and then we would go get chemo, and then the next day I would usually take off school. Then the next days I'd go to school like a normal kid. And it was really like, that was probably the best situation that I could have gone through, was as normal as possible. My doctor was always like, you go to school, like, if you're feeling good, go do normal things. And that really helped me stay in that like positive mentality of just not feeling sick all the time. Because I feel like when you're in a hospital constantly, like I remember when I would have my long stints of being in the hospital, I would feel more sick because I was around and people would treat me like I was sick. And of course I was sick. But when I was at school, people treated me normal. So I felt normal. And I came to realize that positivity was the best prescription. And from that, I started looking at what could I do with this instead of saying, why me? And so when I was going through it, I just would say, okay, well, when I'm done with this, I would just make like lists of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and almost like little bucket list things. But when you look at the list as a non-cancer patient, you think they're relatively normal things. But as a cancer patient, you're looking at it and you're like, I can't wait to do that one day. And that just helped me like stay positive and remain happy throughout the entirety of it, and just kind of realize that I could do something with this horrible thing that I was given. And when I started my nonprofit was afterwards. But
and they treated you normal at school because they didn't know? Like, was it like a whole city community event?
Oh my gosh, the whole community rallied behind me like no other. It was interesting because I started at Mays in 7th grade, so I was the new kid for a year, and then as soon as 8th grade hit, I was diagnosed. So I was the new kid, and then I was a new kid with cancer. So kind of got double hit there. But the whole community was like the most supportive that they could have been for not really knowing me that well. And I look back, and if I wouldn't have had that support, I don't think I would have like been able to do any of the stuff that I've been able to do today because of it. And they've not only helped me, but they've helped so many kids across the nation because of it. And I will never say that it was just me, it was my entire community that was able to help me. But yeah.
Good.
Where do you want
Is that
me
a
to go from
small?
here? Oh yes, I was, well, I say Wichita, but really I was from Mays, and it's a very, very small community. And
Like Naize, right?
yes.
Okay.
Like, Avery Johnson went to Mays. We have a lot of cool people that come out of there for sports. But
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was going through treatment, I realized that I had a lot of support at the beginning, of course, when I was diagnosed. Everybody wanted to like help me in some way, shape, or form. And then during treatment, I had a lot of support from my community and all the people that like saw me on a day-to-day basis. But then at the end, they were like, okay, you finish on Tuesday. Have fun with your life. come back in a year. And I had just spent 2.5 years of my life making best friends with my nurses, best friends with my doctors, because I didn't really, hang out with people my age that much, and I just was like, I have to walk away from everything that I've known. And I think that was the hardest part for me, because I was 16 when I finished, and I didn't really like any of the stuff that I did before, so it felt almost like coming out of prison. You're like, what am I supposed to do now? And I tried cheer, because I was like, I wanted to be an all-American cheerleader. That was fun for a semester, and then I was like, I'm done with this. And then I got into speech and debate, which I never ever thought I would like, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. But I realized that people change so much after treatment. Just they mature mentally, and physically you change. I wasn't as strong as I was before, and so I didn't want to get back into dance. So I realized, well, if this is this hard for me, this must be like so difficult for other people too, and nobody talks about it. And the survivorship, of course, like finishing treatment and what you're supposed to do afterwards. And so I was like, I really want to focus on.
So what's your hands-on experience like with your foundation, and what do you get to do for other cancer patients?
So with Even Mermaids Get Leukemia, I get to meet many different types of childhood cancer survivors, ranging from 1 year old to 18 years old, and basically I just help them integrate back into activities, sports, music, whatever they want to do after they finish treatment, so they can feel semi-normal again, even though normal is not a real thing anymore after being diagnosed with cancer. But make them feel just let them forget about it for a minute. And I think going through treatment can be so lonely, and especially at the end where you make your friends with nurses and doctors, and you're with them all the time, and you depend on them, and they save your lives, and you just get so connected to them that when you finish, you're like, what am I supposed to do now? And that's why I created it, was because I had that experience. But being able to help other kids who have gone through that has been so amazing. But with Even Mermaids Get Leukemia, the process of it is we have a website, and typically a parent, a guardian, or a doctor will submit an application through our website, and I will review the application and kind of get an overview of the person, and then I'll reach out to the parent, and then we'll set up a voice or phone call or video call to kind of get to know each other a little bit more and share each other's stories, so I can help figure out what the best option for them would be. And a lot of the times parents already have an idea of what they want to do, which is awesome, because then I know exactly they're getting what they want. But when not, I will just research the area they live in, and then just help them give options to different, say they're doing swimming lessons, I'll send 3 options of swimming places where they could learn, and then I'll just help them get into that. And
that's one of the things I wanted to ask about, was the transition from being the cancer patient to then going back to normal life. How does that affect you mentally, especially when you're in that age where you said you're diagnosed at 13, then 16 is where you finish treatment. How do you make that transition?
It was difficult for me, because when you finish treatment, it's not like you have your full head of hair, and you still look like a cancer patient a little bit. So it was very difficult, because I didn't like any of the same things that I did before, and I didn't have the muscle or the strength. I still got tired really easily, so I didn't want to get back into dance. Especially being 16, I was like, what's the point if I'm not going to get a scholarship for it in college? So I was just trying a bunch of different things, and I tried cheerleading because it was on my bucket list, and then that was for a semester. I gave up after football season. I was like, I'm done. But and then I got into speech and debate, which I probably never would have done if I didn't get cancer. And I just learned that kind of stepping out of your comfort zone is scary, but it was the best thing that I could have done in high school, and it was so much fun, and I'm so happy I did that. But I realized that if it's difficult for me, I'm sure it's difficult for other people too, and nobody talks about how difficult it is, because like I said before, you spend so much time with them, and then you're just expected to act like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And you still get tired very easily, and you still have to be cautious of other people being sick, especially the first year off treatment, because you're just still scared. And that was something that I wanted to just bring awareness to, was like, it doesn't ever leave you, even though you're supposed to act like nothing happened when you finish.
What are some of the things that like still affect you today from like treatment or like just having cancer in general?
Oh my gosh.
Because you're 6 years out. But
Yeah.
It's like not like it's never happened.
Yeah. So much. I've found lots of long-term side effects. Well, like, of course I'm just gonna blame anything that I get wrong on chemo brain still, even though like there's no chemo. I'm like, I'll still blame things on chemo brain even though like I don't have that. But I've had to get 3 gum grafts because it went in and like destroyed my gums, and I have like the gums of an 80-year-old now. And I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but when you're going through cancer, you're the youngest person in the waiting room, and when you finish cancer, you're once again still the youngest person in the waiting room, because I'm sitting there for gum issues that 80-year-olds have, and I'm just like, it never leaves you. So small things like that, which I could have a lot more to complain about, so I'm not gonna complain about that. But it is not fun.
Yeah, there's
But-
still like lasting side effects.
Yeah, and my ejection fraction, I don't even know what it's called, for my heart has gone down because of the chemotherapies, and there's just a bunch of little things now that you have to monitor and just keep an eye on, because you would have never have gotten it without the chemo. And that's why childhood cancer survivors and patients still have to regularly follow up, and I'll have to go for a once-a-year CBC checkup essentially for the rest of my life. And while it's a blessing to get to do that, it's a reminder, and it
Every year.
and it just is like, I'm gonna have to go do that, and it's so fun. But it's so fun. But I get to go see my best friends. I get to go see my doctors and my nurses. So that is, it's bittersweet, because I get excited to go, but I'm like so nervous because I'm like, what if? Just don't ever say what if in your head is what I've learned. But it's bittersweet because it is like going back to a high school reunion for me. But
It almost is. It's like
it is
the
like
people you went to high school with.
Yeah.
Nurses, yeah.
Yeah, and when I went off to college, they were like, oh, what'd you do in high school? I'm like, we don't want to get on that subject because it's just going to get depressing. But yeah, so I do make little jokes like, oh, my best friend from high school was Kim Rosa, my nurse. Like, I actually saw her last weekend at a graduation party, and it's so crazy just to see someone that was like once in your life every single day, and now they're just like, congratulations on being so healthy. And
Yeah,
I never thought I would get to this point, and that's why it felt so crazy.
Okay, so just graduated from KU.
Yes.
So what do you like? What did you graduate with, and like what do you want to do like in the future, or what are you like trying to do after graduating?
So I went to the University of Kansas, and I got a degree in strategic communications, focusing on PR, digital advertising, and I really have found a passion for advocacy for childhood cancer, and I've gotten to do that because of the story that I have, and I want to be able to use it for good. So I went to get a PR degree to hopefully either get into health communications and work for a hospital, or work in the pharmacy industry. But mainly I really do want to advocate for other childhood cancer patients and survivors like me.
It's crazy to be in that transitioning period after college, though. Like we were talking about earlier, just like so many jobs you can do, but also the job market just is crazy right now.
Yeah, so if anybody's watching this and is hiring, I love it.
Yeah, this is the place to shout yourself out.
What's the thing you're most proud about yourself during like treatment, and then like as an advocate, like outside of it in remission?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever thought about that before. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to start a nonprofit at 16 and continue it on to where I am today, and still have just as much passion for it as when I was going through treatment as I do 6 years after finishing treatment. The passion for it has not changed, and my mindset has not changed about it. I mean, more positively than in the past, because I'm able to do more thankfully because of it. And I'm just proud of the fact that I've been able to meet other kids like me and understand that we can help each other. Like, and for as lonely as cancer can feel sometimes, you are never alone. And I think that was something that I wish I would have understood more during the time. But looking back, I had such a community and support system behind me that I would not be where I am today without it.
It's like crazy how alone you can feel, but also it's like no one else knows what you're going through except for like the people in the community.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, it's different when it's like kind of like how we were talking about earlier. It's different when a kid's diagnosed than when you're an adult and diagnosed because you're also going through two totally different treatment plans. So it might be the same diagnosis, but it's still different. And of course, it's different for everyone. Like I was getting treatment at the same time as a girl who was like statistically we were the same person, but like name change. But we had very, very different symptom outcomes from the chemo. And it's just crazy that even though we were very, very similar, that our like just symptoms of what the chemotherapy would cause were so different for each of us because you can't plan for any of those things that happen.
Not at all.
And it's just crazy.
Do you have any others about like the nonprofit that you specifically want to ask?
I feel like when you're in this space, especially with patient advocacy, the parents are there witnessing you do this. When you're in that community, the thanks are just, it's fulfillment.
Yeah.
But you already went through it and you chose to just go right back into it and in a different role, but you still chose to not leave that behind you, graduate from cancer and then move on. You're going right back at it headstrong and helping other people. So do you get the fulfillment and the thanks and the relationships?
I was gonna say, I don't thank you. I mean, I have been told thank you for this, of course, but it is, I've never thought about that before. I'm sure it is very different for the two of us because I get more of the, you're so strong, you're so strong for doing this, and I always got confused in it, like when I was first off chemo, confused why they would like continue to say that even though I was done with treatment, and I didn't realize it's because of the mental, you're always thinking about it. Like there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about me going through treatment and cancer and everything. And I mean, that is because I've also put myself in this position, but I would much rather be where I am today because of it and be able to help others because I feel like I know what they need or what I would think they would need. But going back to the advocacy, like you were saying, is I started advocating like I wasn't even done with chemo. I was still going through chemo the first time I went to DC to advocate. And that was a very different experience than like me going now because I looked like a cancer patient. So they kind of not took it more seriously, like the staffers that I would talk to, but they definitely had more pity, I think. And going back the second time, I had my hair fully grown out and I didn't look like a cancer patient, but I would still like advocate the same way I did back then. But it was a different experience because it's like, oh, well, you look fine now. And I have all of my like long-term side effects are, you can't see them, like I don't have any visible ones. And you can't see my port scars, so it's harder to explain like why it's so hard at the end versus when you're going through treatment and look like a cancer patient or when you're showing like long-term effect symptoms. But I think since I've advocated so much that I've kind of like built connections and they still understand that I am the same kid I was when I was going through treatment and I have that same like passion for change. But trying to think of what her full role is, but one of Ron Estes' staffers, I met her when I was 16, and then when I went back in 2023, she was the same person that met with us the second time, and I still didn't really know like what I was doing at that time because I was told just to come and share my story. And so when I went back the second time, we walk into the office and she goes, "You were here with your dad last time, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "I still have your little mermaid card on my desk." And I was like, that is just so crazy to think that like my 15-minute story 2 years ago at that time impacted her so much to like keep my little business card at her. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you hear about DC and politics and how nobody cares and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that showed me right there that she cares. Someone cares. People care. And it's like that right there opened my eyes to like, you need to continue doing this because people will listen to you if you just talk to them. And I've now built that connection. I got to meet her again the third time when I went this past February, and it's like, how's your kid doing? And it's like catching up with an old friend now, and it's something that I would have never been able to do without cancer, sadly. But
Is this
bittersweet again.
obviously you are the best fit for this role? But does it feel like you're obligated to because you know the patients better, you know what it feels like, and you know what they need? Or is there some part of you that wishes you could, you know, just sit back and be a kid, be a college graduate now, but
I still get to be a college graduate. I still get to do fun things. I definitely still try to, like, do all the normal, quote-unquote normal things, but I mean, I'm also just a chronic overthinker, so I'm like, I would have been thinking about it no matter what, and I wanted to be able to do something with it. And I think being diagnosed at the age of 13, I was at the right age and I definitely wasn't mature at 13, but I matured really fast while going through treatment, that instead of me, like, if I was any younger, I think I probably would have just said, oh, this is what kids do, like, you get sick, you go through chemo, and you just move on with life. And I think since I was at the age I was when I was diagnosed, I got so, like, mad and I wanted answers that I pushed myself into this role of advocacy and starting the nonprofit to just talk to other people that are going through it, because when I would sit there and say the why me, I also was like, well, why ask those questions? I want the answers. So I think a large part of it, of me being 13 and wanting to get into the nonprofit and advocacy, was to find answers. But come to find out, you're never gonna find out why you were diagnosed or what caused the cancer, and those are things that I'm just gonna have to wait for the chat with God later in life, hopefully, yes, but that's something that I've also come to learn is you're never gonna get the answers you want, but you can help people, and that's what I wanted to do with it. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Once again, I'm Hannah Soderstom. You guys can check me out at Hannah Scotland, or you can follow the nonprofit, which is even Mermaids Acute Leukemia. And if you know of a child that is just finishing up chemo, I would absolutely love to help them in any way, shape, or form. So just reach out. Thank you.